Hi, I am Martha Arnett. I'm a psychotherapist, a transformational life coach, an intuitive, and a lifelong learner of big, hard lessons. And I am here to share with you some insights that I have learned over the years through my own process, as well as guiding and walking with other people through their own healing process. Today, I am talking about people pleasing. It seems to be a little bit of, I don't want to call it a trend, but it's definitely in the ethers, the conversation around people pleasing. And one of my missions this lifetime is to take the shame away from the way that we are and the way that we learned to be. People pleasing is just one of those things. It's one of those adaptive strategies that we learned as kids. And sensitive people, highly sensitive people and empaths, which I am one and I have worked with many over the years, is we are super in tune to not only our own selves and our own feelings, which are being highly sensitive, are really heightened. We are aware and we feel all that's going on in the environment around us. We can feel what's going on energetically with other people around us. And so that's a whole bag of worms that we have to learn how to, I don't want to use the word manage, but we have to learn to be with in a way that is healthy. But when I talk about people pleasing, I really want to take the shame away from that, in that when we're young, especially like I said, as highly sensitive people, we tune in to what is needed to keep us safe and alive. At a very primal level, a lot of these strategies are just about simply staying alive. And so as kids, we don't consciously think, let's do this, let's be this, but in response to our environment, our parents, the way they behave, our peers, how we are understood or seen or known as with our high sensitivities, is we respond to our environment in a way that keeps us engaged, safe, connected, loved, right? And so we learn how to, in this case, people please, which means if we can get other people to like us, we will remain safe and we will belong. And we know belonging is one of the biggest, most important things to belong to community. It's the root chakra, right? It's feeling safe and in community. And as kids, we don't know this on a conscious level, but we pick up on it and we know what we need to do. And so really what I want to share is these strategies that we get that maybe you'll see on Instagram or YouTube or somewhere in the media that are being talked about as being negative. They were brilliant adaptive strategies that you needed to do as a child. Now, what happens is as we age, as we grow, we get updated, more sophisticated tools in how to be in the world. And so I always say to my clients, it's just our software gets outdated. And we have to update that software to where we are now with our external resources, with our internal resources, all that we've learned, all that we know now. We don't have to do that, because what happens with people pleasing is as you get older and you become aware of this pattern of people pleasing, which really means you're not paying attention to your own needs, you're not paying attention to your own desires. A lot of the times we try to people please, we try to connect with someone that we haven't even taken the time to consider if we even like that person, if we even want to be in relationship with them, because we don't consider ourselves. Because kids don't consider that when they're young, because they have to be in connection, in relationship, in belongingness to whatever it is they're trying to connect to stay safe and to stay alive. And so this is a really, really old pattern, right? People pleasing. And But as we get older, we can update our software to where we are now, which means we don't have to do those setting aside of ourselves to be in those relationships that no longer are of interest or of service or even kind to us. We can update our software so that we get the choice. We get to choose who we're in relationship with. We get to choose what is healthy for us. We get to choose our belongingness to where and whom and what. And a lot of that is internal, belonging to yourself. And that's a whole nother topic that I will talk about. But what I'm really passionate about is taking the shame out of some of these terms that are floating around social media. Is people pleasing? You came about it honestly. It was actually really smart. You needed to do it. And now as an adult, even a young adult, you don't need to do it anymore. You don't need to set yourself aside. You don't need to set your own desires, your own interests aside. You can pivot back to yourself. And two questions that I think are just simple little steps to start with pivoting back towards yourself and considering whether you want to be in a relationship with this or not, this person, is to ask yourself, how do I feel when I'm with this person? Now, for me, because I'm really highly sensitive and really empathic, when I'm engaged with someone, sometimes I can't tell in the moment how I'm feeling. So the second question, some people can, and sometimes I can, but not always. It depends on the person. Sometimes it's confusing, which is a signal and a sign for me too. But when I walk away from the person, I can tune in. How do I feel now? How do I feel now that I've walked away from that person? Do I feel depleted? Do I feel discombobulated and kind of confused? Do I feel like I exposed too much that I didn't want to? Or do I feel energized? Do I feel like boosted? Do I feel seen? Do I feel supported? So those are I'm outside. I'm in Santa Fe, and we usually don't have bugs, but we have bugs this year. So those are some of the questions I think are really good as we begin to tune into how it is that we feel. Because also as empaths and highly sensitive people, we're taking in all the environmental cues as well as energetic cues from inside. If we're talking to somebody, if we haven't done the practice of learning how to stay in our own energy space, we're tuning into their energy. So all of this is really, really important information for us to get and practices for us to have around this outdated software of people pleasing. So no shame, just practice and pivoting towards yourself, understanding that you came by it very honestly, that it was a really strategic and most likely extremely important way of being that you were. And now you don't need to do it anymore. You don't need to set yourself aside. You can pivot towards yourself. All right, I hope that's helpful. I'm sending you so much love and support and wishing you all the very best. Thanks.